that situation. So let's kind of like go into the whole source of why we perceive these things as being fearful. Why do we perceive the stock market crash as fearful? Why do we perceive losing jobs as fearful? Why do we perceive disease as fearful? Racism, natural disasters as being fearful? Because it has to be rooted in the way we perceive ourselves, as whether we're connected to life or whether we are trying to preserve some kind of biological life. Mm-hmm. And to me, I think we should build on that issue there, because it seems that if we are trying to preserve biological life and we're not aware or developing our connection to spiritual life, which is the reason biological life exists, is to be a vessel of spiritual life, then it seems that if we're disconnected from what true life is, then when we see change, then that brings about fear.
And I think the thing that gets that automatic, extremely terrified, fearful reaction out of us is the idea that somehow our world is coming to an end.
Yes.
And I think anything that challenges what we believe about who we are, what this world is the thing that gets the most fear out of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what has to be, that deep-seated, like, it's almost like a genetically built-in fear that we have to deal with.
Yeah. So that's major, because I think the thing you said is about our world ending. So we have an issue with seeing our world as a limited experience. You know what I mean? Because it seems like I think all of our fear is rooted in our concern about what death is. Mm-hmm. Because you can die on a lot of levels. If you have money and then one day you don't, that seems to be a death of your comfort. If you have health and one day you don't, that's a death of, what your comfort was. Mm-hmm. Or even in changing, we have relationships that change when we're afraid to go off to school or something. You know what I mean? So it seems like all this fear is rooted in a fear of change. Mm-hmm. A change that takes us out of a comfort zone, which is crazy because change is the only spiritual constant for every living creature in the universe. Mm-hmm. So we're afraid of connecting to a natural spiritual process. Mm-hmm. You feel what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's like if you even look at the seasons they flow in and out of each other, and one season sees the blooming of like plant life and animal life, and then another season sees the hibernation of animals and the death process of that plant life before it comes to be resurrected again. So it's like almost as though the ego in us, or the self-perception of us, is not connected to actual nature or reality that every other creature is naturally going through. Mm-hmm.
We're so invested in the worlds that we created for ourselves.
Yeah.
Whenever that world looks like it's about to crumble, then all hell breaks loose in us, and then we reflect that back out into this physical world.
Yeah.
And what we have to do in order to prevent that from being how we react or respond to whatever it is that is making us afraid is deal with all that ego in us that is responsible for the fear.
Yeah, that's real. And I think like one of the things that, it's funny because the term ego is becoming a more and more popular term, and I think because the term becomes more popular, I think it becomes more and more elusive sometimes for people to really understand what it is, And I say all that to say that in what you said, it's such a personal inner kind of, you have to have a inner commitment and desire to see your inner world transform. Mm-hmm. The things that that you're connected to as the worlds that you create, like that you were saying before. And I think that that's like one of the keys, because we have to have a commitment to transform how we feel, how we think, and how we desire to connect to ourselves and the world around us. And that journey is only an inward one, and it can't be measured based upon others' reactions and development. You know what I mean? It's only one that where you have to discern for yourself, and I have to discern for myself, what is that force that causes me to disconnect when I perceive that change or discomfort or alteration in that world is about to occur. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I think that's a really crucial point, man, because each of us has so many different worlds inside of us that we have to ultimately become responsible for in navigating and transforming how we use those worlds or those energies of thoughts and desires. You know? And it's funny because I think that the more we grow, we start to understand that we are literally living in an ocean of energy, and that everything that we do is built upon that emotion of that ocean of energy, and that how we deal with things like fear is the thoughts that we use to build within that energy field. And I think that that's crucial because I see now that this fear is coming to make us aware of that energy field so that we know how to utilize it. Because the only way we can connect to the world around us is by understanding how our worlds are built and how that energy flows, and how to use it to give birth to life, as opposed to how to use it in a bastardized way that we use it when we're afraid. You know what I mean? Because I think about like depression. Depression is a misuse of our energies. You know, it's a misuse of focusing on things that we're afraid of or things that we feel disconnected.
And that's real important. That, and especially like the fact that you described it as our ability to birth into the earth whatever it is that we connect ourselves to. Because what 2012 is all about is the cosmic womb for the manifestation of whatever realities we connect to becomes most available again for the collective. So whatever it is we choose to connect to, like whatever we focus on, if it's depression or any negative energy, then that plays a part in what we manifest into the earth. And so when we choose to, on an internal level, connect to something else, or at least sever our connection to whatever negative energy we were entertaining, then this whole time period becomes something, you know, it becomes, instead of like something that seems fearful and like a apocalyptic, destructive time period, it becomes something about the birth of something much better than what has existed already.
So that reminds me of that whole scripture that says, "And I saw a new heaven and a new earth." So that means that we are coming through we're coming to a period of time where the God in us is reawakening, and it's reawakening based on our ability to yield to that on how we handle fear, so that we can give birth to the reality that we are originally intended to inhabit. So it's crucial, dude, because like, look at that, we're using the term birth. You were just talking about birth, right? Birth comes only through pain. You know what I mean? And I think about this, how relevant that is, dude, because, you know, I just had my son, and it happened. I'll tell you how ill it is. He was born on Friday the 13th. Now, subconsciously, dog, that, you know what I mean, that puts all of these crazy thoughts. Subconsciously, I was playing with all the thoughts like Friday the 13th. You thinking about Jason, you thinking about unlucky type of things. And then while I was in the moment there, and my wife was going through that, and it's painful, it's easy to attach and focus upon all of the aspects of it that are discomforting. You feel what I'm saying? And as a man, I was like, it's Friday the 13th. My wife's going through discomfort. You know what I mean? My son was coming 6 weeks early. I don't know if I ever told you this, but the lady, when we asked her about it, she was like, she gave us this tone like he wasn't gonna live. She was like, well, you know, it's rare that they make it. And I was just like, wow. But this is crucial because sitting here right now and talking about it, I realize that in those kind of moments, when everything is coming that says that